Hi everybody, Adrian Plass here,
Yes, and Bridget, hello.
and this is number 55,
It is. It
isn't
makes it
it?
sound quite old, really, doesn't it?
It does
Quite
rather, yeah.
grown up.
But it's actually just 55
I
days.
know.
Yeah.
I know. That's a lot of days, though.
We've had quite a lot of stuff through emails and stuff, haven't we, lately?
We have, and quite a lot of comments about Zoom, some of them more positive than others.
Yeah.
I was thinking about our service yesterday and the fact that actually one of the lovely things is we are getting used to looking at people because normally you only see the back of their heads.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting relaxed about them looking at us, although I know that's a problem for some people. But there are some very interesting things coming out of it.
Yeah, and yesterday actually was really moving.
It was.
And in fact, someone phoned me up immediately after
Yeah.
the service to say, how much it had moved
Yeah.
that person. Which
And
I
maybe
thought
that's
was
because it
interesting.
is a bit more of a smallness, isn't it? We're all
Maybe.
in little boxes. There's no
Yeah.
big rooms. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No.
And of course, we do sometimes get emails from people that really make us think. And there was a lovely one, it was a little while ago now, but you know how sometimes you have a story from Jesus that you're never quite comfortable with, and you're never quite comfortable with the explanations
Yeah.
of the stories. And it was the one about, you know the story about the vineyard owner who
Oh, yes,
hires
yeah.
people to work in the vineyard,
Yeah.
and he hires some early in the morning, and then he arranges how much he's going to pay them, and then he goes and collects another load halfway through the day, and then a few more at the end of the day, and then really gets up the noses of the ones who were there early because he
Yeah.
actually pays them
Pays
all
the
the same.
same, yeah.
And he says, it's my right. He basically says, it's my money and I can do what I want. Well, this person pointed out that he had been in Africa, and it reminded me of when we were in Africa 2 or 3 times. We've been there in different places. And there are people lining the road, men lining the side of the road, waiting to be picked up for work. And he was saying that he had realised that the ones that were picked up early in the morning were the fittest, the
Oh,
ones
right,
most
yeah.
likely to do a decent day.
Yeah.
The ones left later on were the weaker ones that they thought, oh, we need a few more, we'll go and get. So they were the raggle-taggle
Yeah.
ones. And that he was saying that he felt that showed how much God cares about the weak and how much he cares about the ones that don't get picked.
So for
And
him, that was a fresh interpretation.
It was
of
for
something
me, and I
yeah.
found it very, very helpful because I've always struggled with exactly what the story was trying to say. And then I thought about how many times
Well, it
people are
isn't-
last picked
It
and
isn't.
feel
That's right. Yeah,
unspecial
no, they
because of
do.
that.
Yeah, and we've known several of them. But it isn't only not being able to interpret it, is it? It's sometimes that you actually lose sight of things you see in the Bible.
Well, that's true of the familiar stories, isn't it?
And I was
Absolutely.
thinking about the pictures on our wall, and I know, unfortunately, the people who are listening to us, I'm sorry about this, everybody listening to you, I don't know how many you are, but you can't see the pictures. But we love our pictures. We really love them. And we've got a huge one in front of us, which is a tree in the snow with railings going around it. It's a big one. And it was given to us by our children on our 40th wedding
That's right.
anniversary.
So it's special for
And
that.
it's right here in front of us, and they gave it to us, and therefore we love it. We love it anyway because it has a sort of bleakness, and there's always been a place in me for bleakness. I think I began in bleakness. I don't want it back,
No.
but
But we also love it for another very odd reason, don't we? Because
Oh,
it's
yes.
very, very perfect. It's
Yeah.
like the perfect winter day. The colouring is amazing. But by one of the posts, I'm sorry to spoil your image, is a small pile of dog poo.
yeah, that's
And we
interesting,
just
isn't
feel
it?
that
Yes.
that's a little bit more like life. You set out
Yes.
thinking, oh, this is so perfect. But
That's
in
right.
most days, there's the equivalent of that. I think
That's
I'll leave that
correct.
image now.
Yeah. So that picture is fairly, we see that all the time. So the thing I want to say about pictures probably doesn't apply to that so much. Over on our left, we have a picture of one of my favourite musicians of all time, Jacqueline Dupre, who was sadly a great cellist. And putting her music on brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah, that was painted by a friend of yours, ours,
That's
who
right.
loved movement and found Dupre's playing was so energetic, but so much more energetic's not the right word, is it? It's so impassioned, so as though she takes out of herself something quite extraordinary
It's
to...
somewhere between sensual and passionate. I'm not in an unpleasant way, but it is full of feeling. And of course, she unfortunately became very ill very early in her life. And I wrote, this is very short, it's not a particularly good little poem, but I'll read it to you. Jacqueline, you learned to fly so young. You flew so high, so fast, so far, so well. I try to deal in words, but none of them could track your wild flight, nor formulate my sadness when you fell. Jacqueline, I always watched your eyes. You reached a world I cannot fathom how, where earth and heaven joined in chords of surging harmony. May God grant you peace to fly there safely now. Well, that's Jacqueline, and behind us, on the wall behind us, there's a picture of a broken down old car. Now, this one is quite interesting. I'm not sure what the car is. I think it's something like a Mini Cooper S estate, if there is such a thing. And it's on
Isn't it one of those cars where little weeds grow?
I believe it might be a bit like one of those. It looks like that.
You know, where they grow along the
That's
inside
right.
of the window or the outside.
Yeah, on the little windowsill places with moss in them. The bonnet is up, the doors are open. I think the engine's probably gone. It's a total mess. It's on the edge of a field, and it's in front of a thick green hedge, indeterminate hedge. And I bought it some years ago, I think for £90, and I think it's the best 90 quid I ever spent. Now, your father thought I was mad, didn't he?
Oh, well, he did. He said, what do you want a picture of an old beaten up
Picture of an old
car
for?
on your wall?
Well, there are three things I love about this picture. One is that it was painted by somebody who had suffered from agoraphobia.
Yeah.
And this is one of her first, if not her first, journeys out to actually paint outside. So that in itself gives it a vibrancy.
Yeah.
The second is that the car is lost. It's broken down.
It's abandoned.
It's abandoned. And much of our lives has been spent in attempting to get close to people who are in that state, and we've been in that state. And I think one of the things that attracted me to that picture was really just that car seemed to symbolize that. And the third very simple thing I love about it is it's beautifully painted. It really is lovely.
Well, I would add one other thing to that. I think you said, didn't you, that the doors, everything's open. Obviously, it's been ransacked, and anything worth having in it, there probably wasn't a lot, has been taken. But you're talking about somebody who's suffering from agoraphobia, who not only is out in the air, sitting by the side of a field, but also she paints a car where everything is open. And I think that's
right.
one of the reasons
I've never thought of that.
that I like it.
Yeah.
It's not my favourite, I'm going to say.
I know.
We've lived in a lot of houses with this picture,
I know.
and it always ends up in a prominent place. And I think we usually have a short discussion before that point. But I love the fact you love it.
Oh, I think it's very important to me. And in the other room, before we get to that, I remember when Kate was quite young, and she said, "What have you got the picture of an old car for?"
Yes.
And I said to her, "What is special about this car, Kate?"
Yes.
And she said, "Nothing." I said, "Now come on, look, it's a broken down old car on the edge of a field. What's special about it?" And she said, "Nothing, still nothing."
You see, this car is not that popular with several of members of your family, really.
Well, I don't think anyone else really that keen on it. Anyway, I persisted. Why is it important? And she said, "I don't know." I said, "Someone painted it. Someone wanted to preserve it and make it last." And I love that. So there's that. And just one more maybe. In the other room we have a picture which appears to be made of bubble wrap with ink underneath the bubble wrap, and you can just
It's not ink,
talk
Adrian.
to us briefly
It's
about how that
embroidered.
came about.
It was a young student. We were looking at an exhibition in a university. I think it was in Scotland. And I love this picture, partly because I just thought it was very clever. This girl, and she can't have been more than about 18, had taken bubble wrap, and then on top of it she had literally embroidered a figure sitting with her back.
That's right,
to
you're
us.
right. It's
And
embroidery,
there's something so exquisite, not just about the final thing, but also about the process, about her idea. And looking at the back of it with her name and the price of it and everything, this was the beginning of somebody imagining their life as an artist. So it was full of all sorts of things.
Can
for
you
me,
just
really.
describe the image on the...
Well,
on the
I
picture?
mean, it is the image of a girl sitting naked, but that's really not very important because it's her back that you see, and just the lines very randomly embroidered, not just like I might embroider it with sort of cross stitch all the way around. No, this is beautiful. It's very random. The lines are all over the place, but it conjures it up. Yeah. And I loved it. And the best thing I loved about it was that I noticed it on the way round. And then at the end of the day, there was a wrapped up parcel for me, and Adrian had nipped back and bought it for me. So it fulfills all the criteria of something to be loved.
That's true. And on just one more, on the wall opposite that, there is a very large picture. And it's very orange and very blue, but not garish orange and blue, but really beautiful orange and blue. And you need a big wall to put it on, which thank goodness we have. And it's 3 positions of a sportsman. And anybody who hasn't seen it before, if we remember, we say to them, what is that picture about? And we have had such an array of opinions. It is, in fact, 3 positions of a discus thrower.
It's true.
By Ben Eccleston, who also drew the Jacqueline du Pré picture.
And we also have a picture of apples painted by another friend that is one of the most beautiful things based on a poem, isn't it?
That's right. It's the
So we
poem
love our
about the
pictures.
apples in the loft, which some people will know. Well, the reason I've gone on and on about those pictures, and I say, I'm sorry you can't see them, but unless you pop round one day, which you might, I don't know. The reason I've gone on about them is hearing about what our friend experienced in Africa. One of the things that happens with the pictures on your walls is that it can happen that they become invisible, because when you buy them, you obviously choose them very carefully. You don't want pictures on your wall that you don't like.
No,
do you?
in fact, that is a problem, isn't it? When sometimes somebody gives you a picture that is what they love, but not what you love.
Well,
what
that's
do you do
disaster,
with it?
because then
That's
you
another
have to
whole story.
quickly rush upstairs and get it from the loft and put it on the wall. No, I don't know what you do, but
But they are very individual.
They're very individual, and when you buy them, there's usually some degree of passion about buying them and enjoying them.
Yeah.
Because they're part of your home. I mean, there they are on the wall, and you see them every day, you walk past them. And it can easily become the case that, as I say, they become invisible. When, as we've done today, or I've done today, I've looked at a lot more than the ones I mentioned. You look at them again, and you think, that's my picture. I really like that picture. Why did I love that picture? And suddenly it all comes back. I glibly said there are 3 reasons why I love that picture, but I didn't suddenly conjure them up. They go right back to the beginning. The picture of Jacqueline du Pré. I mean, a wonderful thing to have when we first had it, and to keep. But it takes a moment to look and remember why they were so important. So the connection, if it is a reasonable one, is that the same certainly has happened for me with some of even the most familiar Bible verses.
Stories or verses?
Well, stories, actually, quite often. I mean, you say to people, you might ask people a question about the prodigal son.
Oh, I think everyone has, yes.
Or the Good Samaritan. And you kind of assume that you know the story, but if you haven't looked at it, I think we mentioned something like this a few weeks ago, if you haven't looked at it for a long time and you haven't looked at it in detail, there are probably things that you either have forgotten
Yes.
or you've never seen,
Yes.
or you've forgotten why there was a day when you read that
Yeah.
and it burned in your heart.
Yeah.
It changed your life.
Yeah.
And I reckon it would be worth going back to those very special things that you saw. For me, there's a line in Job where Job is remembering his old life, and he says, when I spoke to people, he says, what's it? I can't remember the exact
They could
line.
scarce believe it.
When I smiled at them. When I smiled at them, they could scarcely believe it, which is a reflection of, I think, the kindness of God, that he smiles more than he frowns, although sometimes it looks the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always something new, isn't there? I heard just the other day on the radio about somebody talking about the fact that in the Jewish story of Ruth, there is a Hebrew word that when it came to be translated all those years ago into English, there was no English word. And so from kindness, it became loving kindness, something you do and something you feel, a combination.
Well, and that didn't exist in the...
No, it wasn't in the English language.
Oh, right.
So there's so many ways that you can learn more about stories and everything else, really.
So there we are, pictures on the wall, stories in the Bible, people you haven't seen for a long time. The list is quite a long one. It's always worth taking a new look and remembering, why do I love this? Why did I love this?
So have a look at your pictures. Let us know what you think. Have a look at the stories. See if anything springs at you that you've never thought of before.
I'd be very interested
Absolutely.
to hear what people have to say about that. So there we are. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.